Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Valabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Valabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadesh Rukmini Dwarkadesh Rukmini Dwarkadesh Rukmini Dwarkadesh Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Gaur Premanandi Hayaribon, Jayon Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Paraprajak Acharya, Mr. Sri Shrimad, ISKCON BBT founder, Charles Divine Grace, AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhu, Om Vishnu Pad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Kahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajamuman Madam Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Lachal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamayi Ki Jai. Jamunamayi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Most beautiful Lordship Shri Shabini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shabini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glory Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Deving Sarsatim Yasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatittama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the pure devotees almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the third canto, chapter 22, text number 21. Now, Sham, I think when you connect directly to the TV like this, you can't extend the screen because it's locked into that resolution. That's why it's better to use the Apple TV. You wouldn't listen to me, but now we're locked into this. Okay, please repeat. Maitreya Vacha. Now, before we go on, you see the third word, Danvan. Normally, obviously, it's spelled with one N. When it's spelled with two N's, it means that you connect that second N to the next word. So it's Danvan Niyad. Otherwise, the word is spelled with just one N. So when in the transliteration you see two N's, it means you connect that second N to the next word. Otherwise, you don't get the right meter. Okay? Maitreya Vacha. So Ugra Danvan Niyad Eva Bhapashe. Asich Chatushning Aravinda Nabham Diyopagrinnan Smita Shobitena Mukkena Cheto Lulubhe Deva Hutyaha. Maitreya Vacha. Sa Ugradan Vanyad Eva Bhapase Asich Chatushnim Aravinda Nabham Diyopagrinnan Smita Shobitena Mukkena Cheto Lulubhe Deva Hutyaha. Maitreya Vacha. Sa Ugradan Vanyad Eva Bhapase Asich Chatushnim Aravinda Nabham Diyopagrinnan Smita Shobitena Mukhena cheto lulupe devahutya. Please sit. What is he doing? Vaishnavis, what is he doing? Let's just go back to source. We'll select Apple TV. So, Gadanvaniya Deva Bhavase Asit Shatushnim Aravinda Nabham. Why are we in this mixed mode?
As soon as they're done chanting.
Okay. All right, fix it. There you go. Finally. All right. Technology. Hare Krishna. So, synonyms. Maitreya. The great sage Maitreya. Uvacha said. Saha. He, Kardama. Ugradanvan. O great warrior. Vidura. Iyat. This much. Eva. Only. Abhabhashe. Spoke. Asit. Became. Cha. And. Tushnim. Silent. Aravindanabam. Lord Vishnu, whose navel is adorned by a lotus. Dhiya. By thought. Upagrinan. Seizing. Smitashobitena. Beautified by his smile. Mukhena. By his face. Chaitaha. The mind. Lulubhe. Was captivated. Devahutyaha. Of Devahuti. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior the Vidura, the sage Kardama, said this much only and then became silent, thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahuti, who began to meditate upon the great sage. Please repeat. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent. Thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahuti, who began to meditate upon the great sage. So just to note, we go by Prabhupada's translation. There's an alternate translation that you may find on the internet where it says that he was captivated by the face of Devahuti, not the other way around. So we always go by Prabhupada's translation. We don't be confused. Sometimes devotees are a little bit lazy and they research everything, Google Guru, and whatever they find on the internet, they put in their PowerPoint, and it's not always accurate. Always refer to Prabhupada's books before you finalize your PowerPoint. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying we go by Prabhupada's translation. Yeah. Whatever you see there. So, Srila Prabhupada's purport. It appears that Kardama Muni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness because as soon as he became silent, he at once began to think of Lord Vishnu. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees are so absorbed in thought of Krishna that they have no other engagement, although they may seem to think or act otherwise. They are always thinking of Krishna. The smile of such a Krishna conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadeshtarine Om Agyana Randasya Gyanandana Shlakayan Chakshura Omilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishrang Shapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyahang Shri Guru Shri Rutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaisavangsha Shri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raganatan Vatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancho Kopatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. I'm going to show some pictures at the end, so keep me connected. Okay. Hare Krishna. So we are now at the point where Kardama Muni, he has heard from the Lord. He knows what his, at least immediate future is going to be in terms of his relationship with Devahuti. And he has welcomed the Lord and addressed him very, very lovingly. And now he has gone silent. So again, in proper synonyms, because there are alternate translations, but we see here it says, Smita Shobitena, beautified by his smile, Mukhena, by his face. So we're talking about Kardama Muni's face, beautified by a smile. Chetaha, the mind. Now whose mind? Lulube was captivated. Whose mind was captivated? Devahutyaha, of Devahuti. So it's Devahuti's mind that was captivated by the smile of, like I said, there are other translations, maybe even other acharyas say it differently, but we go by what Prabhupada says. We don't have any independence of Prabhupada. This is what it means to be a Prabhupada person. We follow what Prabhupada says, even if it may seem to be different from others. So Prabhupada himself said sometimes there are differences of opinions between pure devotees. Only time will tell. So whenever there is any difference of opinion, because as we travel, we meet persons who joined ISKCON and then went elsewhere, and they say, well, what about this mat, or what about that person? That's all right. People have a right to follow who they want. We follow Prabhupada. We are in the Prabhupada branch of Lord Chaitanya's tree. There may be other twigs and branches coming off, but we follow Prabhupada in all respects, whatever Prabhupada says. Just a simple example. You know, as I travel again, I see a lot of young men have taken to the bearded look. So I remind them that Prabhupada said Lord Chaitanya came to save you and to shave you. And Prabhupada set an example. We have thousands of pictures of Srila Prabhupada giving class. Not one of Prabhupada with a beard. Or even a 5 o'clock shadow. Always clean shaven. And he said, my disciples should shave their heads at least once every fortnight. What to speak of the face. So Prabhupada set the example. So we follow Prabhupada. Whenever I ask these young men about why you dress like, well, you know, the Gaudiya, we're not, yes, we are a special branch of the Gaudiya Math. And the example I give them is that Prabhupada, following Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's urging, he created a GBC in his movement. He wanted his main branch of the Gaudiya Math to do the same, and they didn't. So if they don't follow such a big request of the Guru, how can you follow any other small request? See what I'm saying? So we follow Srila Prabhupada. Yes, he's connected to Gaudiya Math, but he has delivered to us exactly what his Guru Maharaj wanted a spiritual movement to be. Governed by a governing body, book distribution as the main function. You see, you go to a lot of other spiritual branches of Lord Chaitanya's tree, they may have a few books sitting somewhere, but they don't stress book distribution like Prabhupada did. And why did Prabhupada do that? Because his spiritual master asked him to do that. Spiritual master asked him to do that. So we're in every way, or should be in every way, sold out to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We don't have any options. We don't go anywhere else. Whatever Prabhupada says, that's what we do. I'll show you a picture later on. I have a few pictures from my trip. Can't show you everything because I was out on the road for a month and I had shot hundreds of pictures. But one of them is from Mumbai. You know the story of how that temple was acquired. Prabhupada bought the land, and then this Mr. Nair was trying to take it back, and he sent his gundas to break the temple that Prabhupada had set up for Radha Ras Bihari and to intimidate the devotees. But there was one Mr. Shetty who promised Prabhupada that he would protect the temple and the devotees. So he was a very, very staunch, Kshatriya-like personality, and Prabhupada really appreciated him. So while I was in Mumbai, just from this recent trip, I met his son. I'm trying to remember his name now. Braj Mohan is his son's name. So I met his son and we chatted, and he told me his father was such a staunch Prabhupada man. He never got initiated, but he was such a staunch Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada told him to do, he would do. He said if Prabhupada told my father to jump off a 10-story building, he would do it. And he gave an example. Before Prabhupada left, the father had come down with an illness. And he was wearing, the doctors had prescribed a neck brace, and he was taking all kinds of medications. So when Prabhupada saw him in that condition, he said, what's going on? And he told him, well, you know, Prabhupada said, take off the neck brace, go to this particular Kaviraj, buy these, I think it was 2 or 3 different Ayurvedic medicines. You take those, you'll be fine. And the man, exactly whatever Prabhupada told him to do, he did it. Took off the neck brace, he went to the Kaviraj, he bought those 3 different Ayurvedic medicines, and within a short time, he was completely back to normal. So that's firm faith in the spiritual master. Whatever the spiritual master, it doesn't matter what my doctor says or what my parents say or what some other spiritual personality says. Whatever my spiritual master says, that's what it means to be a disciple. Whatever my spiritual master says. And if you don't have that kind of faith in the spiritual master, then you shouldn't accept that person as your spiritual master. Because as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said clearly, the prospective disciple should interview or process or try to understand who is this person I'm trying to take as my spiritual master, and vice versa. The prospective guru should look at this disciple and say, is this a qualified person for me to accept? Not just that anybody who comes along gets initiated. That's not how it works. Prabhupada said over and over, very proudly, I don't accept just anyone. They have to accept these principles. They have to chant 16 rounds like that. Prabhupada was not into accepting just anybody just because they wanted to be initiated. So that's another fallacy. That, you know, the Guru is so merciful, he will take anybody. Yeah, he is very merciful. But you have to be somewhat qualified, at least qualified enough to follow what you're told to do. If you don't have at least that much qualification, then there's nothing there. See? Not that you come, you accept, and then in a few days you reject. Like that case in Vrindavan, where one of Prabhupada's disciples came to him and asked for permission to take initiation from some Babaji and Radhakund. So Prabhupada said, yes. And after he left, Prabhupada said, black snake. Doesn't understand what it means to be a disciple. You see? So we have to be very careful. If we have already taken the vows, then there's no out. There's no out. Of course, there's special circumstances, but if you've taken those vows to follow this particular individual, and of course, part of the homework is to see that this particular individual is properly connected. As I've said many times, many of our Indian congregation, not to pick on them because others are also fall into that category, but many of Indians especially, they grow up thinking that anybody who speaks Bhagavatam nicely I can hear from. Oh, he's got such a big following and strong reputation, he's speaking, I have to hear from him. So I always ask them, who is his guru? This famous so-called big speaker, who is his guru? If you don't know this person's guru and that his guru's guru, in other words, if they're not connected to a bona fide sampradaya, don't listen to them. And that's not our statement, that's the statement of the Shastra. Sampradaya Vihirame. If you get your mantra, your kata, from something or someone that's not connected to a bona fide sampradaya, then it's not good. It's not good. Avaishnava makor ginam putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kirtavyam kartavyam sarpo chista yatapaya. One should not hear even the so-called sweetest kata from somebody who is not a Vaishnava, somebody who's doing it just to pass the plate and collect money, which is what a lot of these people do. They sit down and speak kata for 7 days and the whole idea is, give me money. That's not the mood of a real Vaishnava. The mood of a real Vaishnava is speak Krishna Katha for the enlightenment of the population. Prabhupada said even in the current political climate where there's so-called democracy, he said even now, if you spread this Krishna Katha, if the people become purified, then they will naturally elect a proper leader. But in the absence of proper leaders, we see all around the world nothing but chaos, up to the point of continuous murdering of the populace, just because one person says so. Not for any good reason. Just because one person wants somebody to be killed, and then they're killed. So this nonsense has to stop. This is our task, to spread the knowledge given in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, for the benefit of all the living entities out there, so that they may become peaceful and happy. So Kardama Muni is obviously a very peaceful and happy yogi. So why is he getting married? That question also came to Prabhupada. Why is it that pure devotees get married? After all, they know the miseries of the material world, and why not just focus on going back to Godhead? Why bother to get married? So one devotee asked Prabhupada that in '76 on a morning walk during the Mayapur festival. Srila Prabhupada, why do pure devotees get married? Prabhupada said, because it's natural. So they kept walking. So then he asked a second time, Prabhupada, why do pure devotees get married? They don't understand. And Prabhupada said, because it's natural. He kept walking. A third time this person asked, Prabhupada, but I don't understand. Why do pure devotees get married? Prabhupada said, you keep asking because you want to get married. Which was insulting because that person was a sannyasi. You see? And a sannyasi is not supposed to have any thought of getting married. That means you're done with it. You're over and done. So Kardama Muni, although he's pure, so pure that the Lord comes and sees him in person, still following the natural tendency for bringing progeny into the world, he wanted to accept a wife. Now, Lord Brahma generated mental sons, right? 4 Kumaras, Narad Muni, etc. Why not have the whole universe filled up like that? He could have done that. Why not? Lord Brahma, by his own potency, could generate so many mental offspring to fill up the universe. So why, at some point, switch over to what we consider to be natural now? You want a child, you take a spouse, husband, wife, and produce children in that way. Because that also allows the living entity to fulfill that desire to engage in that activity. That's one of the, as you know, Prabhupada said, the strongest desire that keeps us here in this material world is to have this relationship, pungsa, with him, between husband and wife. We want to have that connection. But unfortunately, that connection leads to very, very strong attachment. Atakriya kshetra sapta vitaya. Janasama hoyam ahang mameti. After this connection is made, husband and wife, then thereafter, griya kshetra supta apta vitaya. First thing, you have to have a nice griha. Don't expect me to live in the forest like Devahuti did. No, I want a nice griha. At least 3 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom. No sharing of bathrooms. You know, some want to live in the city because they find it more appealing. Some want to live in the country. Some want to have both. I got to have a city apartment and a country retreat. So this is, things keep expanding. Griya, Kshetra, if you're going to build a house, you have to have some land. Sutta, Apta Vitaya, you have to have children and relatives and wealth. Just keeps expanding. Now, Kardama Muni was so great that he could generate wealth by his yogic mystic power. He didn't have to go get a job. But nowadays, we may not be in that category. So our brahmacharis, if they want to get married, which is natural, it's not unnatural, then you have to plan in advance. Don't wait until you say the I do's and then look around and where we're going to live and what's going. No, you have to have that done in advance. And we have again example of our immediate acharyas. Srila Prabhupada was a grihasta. He went into business. First of all, he worked for some big chemical concern, then he went to his own business, pharmaceuticals, like that. So you have to have some means of generating wealth. First of all, there has to be compatibility. So that's usually established through astrology. Mother Rambaru was talking about arranged marriages and not arranged marriages. And nowadays, yes, it's nice if the family are competent to arrange a nice marriage. And if you're surrendered enough to accept the person that they give you, not immediately thinking, well, if it doesn't work, I'll move on. Not like that. That's not the Vedic culture. Whether it's arranged or by your own choice, whatever you got, you keep. Or dear departed Surya Prabhu used to say, there are 2 ways of associating. There's the library method and the fire sale method. The library method is you go to the library, you check out a book, you read it, then you take it back. But relationships don't work like that. You don't check it out and then, no, I'm not interested. No. It's the fire sale method. Fire sale method is you buy it, it's yours. No return, no refund. That's our approach. So whether you approach that person on your own and you made the arrangement yourself or it was done by your family, whatever Krishna sends, that's what you keep. And Prabhupada again set the example. He said, I was not so attracted to my wife and I wanted to marry a second time, which was allowed in those days, early 1900s. But he said, my father convinced me, no, you stay with her. Why? Because it'll be easier to leave when it's time to leave. If you're too much attracted, then you can't. Right? And Krishna himself says that. We know in the 13th chapter, verses 8 through 12. So how many verses is that? 8 through 12 inclusive? 5 verses, yes. Sometimes people say 4 because they say 12 minus 8 is 4. But no, it's inclusive. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 verses. We know these are the 20 items of knowledge. And if the Supreme Lord is saying these are 20 items that you must know, then you should know them. So the first verse, amanitvam, adambitvam. These are the top items. Humility, pridelessness. In other words, if you're not humble, if you're puffed up, then you're not going to learn the rest of it. So the third verse came to mind because it's related to this Kardamamuni. Asaktir anabishmanga putar dhargraharishu nityam tam samachittam ishtanishtupatishu. So Krishna says, asaktir, detachment. This is one of the items of knowledge. Why should we be attached to anything here? Nothing belongs to us. We're born naked and penniless, and when we die, we can't take even a penny with us. No matter how much we've accumulated, you can't take any of it with you. So don't get attached. It's not yours. It all belongs to Krishna. So detachment, asaktir anabhishvanga putra dhargraharishu. So this is related to Kardama. Krishna says, freedom from entanglement with wife, children, all of that stuff. So then, why get married? Yes, you get married, but don't get entangled. Again, we're realizing that the wife, the children, the house, everything belongs to Krishna. And at some point, you will have to give it up, voluntarily or involuntarily. Now, the Vedic culture is Panchaswarnam Vanambraja. After age 50, you leave home and go to the forest for a spiritual advancement. But Prabhupada said, if the wife is a devotee, helpful, then it's not essential to take sannyas. But at least the Vanaprastha stage has to be there. Not that you stay totally entangled with family, children, money for the whole life. At least get to the Vanaprastha stage. And Vanaprastha stage means you completely focus on spiritual advancement, not just your own, but helping younger devotees to advance. This is what Vanaprastha means, especially in ISKCON. So the senior grihastas are meant for assisting the juniors to go forward. Because there's danger at every step, there are problems. This is a world of problems. Prabhupada would be surprised that his disciples were shocked when something happened so-called bad. But that same third verse says, Ishtanishta upapatishu. One should be equipoised no matter what comes, so-called good, so-called bad. Because in the material world, both will come. Both tests will be there. And as I've said many times, there are two extreme tests you can get on the path of Krishna consciousness. One where everything is falling apart. You're broke, you can't put two pennies together, your health is down, you have no good relationships, everybody hates you. If you're working, the boss is always on your case. Everything is falling apart. That's one extreme test. But if one is a little bit religious, a little bit pious, when such an extreme situation comes, hey Bhagavan, oh my dear Lord Krishna, please help me. That's the natural tendency of a pious person. Actually, for devotees, sometimes the opposite is a bigger test. Everything is going well. You're practicing your yoga, your health is great, your parents die and leave you millions of dollars, and what are you going to do? Quite often we fail that test. We become less and less interested in Krishna consciousness the better things are. Isn't it? We've seen so many times, devotees, especially money. The parents die, leave them a few $1 million, take off the neck beads, throw away the bead bag, and they're off to enjoy. What is there to enjoy out there? There's nothing out there to enjoy. There's nothing out there to enjoy. For somebody who has a little inkling that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. If we understand that, that's the very basics, that's the beginning. One professor was asking Prabhupada about Srimad Bhagavatam, where does that fall in your literature, ranking of literature? So Prabhupada said, that's the graduate study. First of all, you have to study the ABCs Bhagavad Gita. And that ABC ends with Sarvadharma Parityaja. Krishna demands that we surrender to him. So if you don't surrender to Krishna, actually you shouldn't even open Srimad Bhagavatam. What are you going to understand? There are many, many scholars who read Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita, and some of them even know Bhagavad Gita. Every time we have this festival coming up in Laguna Beach, I remember a few decades back, I was there at this festival at a book table, and one Indian guy came up to the table and he said, no introduction, no hi, how are you, or who are you, or I know all the slokas of Bhagavad Gita, all 700 slokas. So I know a few shlokas, so I decided I'm going to test him. So I tested him, this sloka, that sloka. He actually knew. And then after he was satisfied that he had convinced me that he knew Bhagavad Gita, then he said, I'm going to learn all 18,000 slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was very impressed. Now, many of you may not know him. He's been departed for some time now, but the elder Mahavishnu Swami, there were two Mahavishnu Swamis, one who's still alive, American Mahavishnu Swami, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and then there was an elder Indian Mahavishnu Swami, disciple of Shiva Ram Maharaj. He's gone for now, but he was a very down-to-earth, very practical person. I really relish his association. For instance, whenever somebody would ask him, Maharaj, would you like some juice? He said, why juice? Give me the fruit. My teeth still work. And lo and behold, lately, the scientific community are saying, don't drink juice. It's too concentrated for your body to take. Your internal organs are not meant to take such concentrated intake. Anyway, he was very practical. So I went to him and I said, Maharaj, you see that guy? He knows all about Bhagavad Gita. And he said he's going to memorize all 18,000 slokas of Bhagavatam. So Maharaj looked at him, he said, where's the bead bag? I don't see any bead bag. He said if he really knew Bhagavad Gita, he would be chanting Hare Krishna. Haribol. So that's the proof that we've understood Bhagavad Gita. We take to the Yuga Dharma wholeheartedly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we try our best to spread it to others. One last point. While I was traveling, Jaganibas, many of you know he used to be our chief cook here in the restaurant. So he contacted me and he asked, he said, you know, we've all heard that it's stated that if you become a pure devotee, then so many generations of your family are liberated. But what does that mean practically? So I did a little research for him and wrote back. There's one particular conversation where one of Prabhupada's disciples asked Prabhupada that. He said, Prabhupada said, 14 generations forward and backwards will be liberated, but what does it mean practically? So Prabhupada said, it means that they will be born as devotees. They will take birth as devotees, because to take birth as a devotee means liberation. If you take birth as a devotee, you are liberated. So every one of us that are already on the devotional path, that are considering ourselves to be devotees, we're already liberated. We don't have to worry about our own situation. Just assist Srila Prabhupada in spreading the good fortune to as many people as possible. And assist, again, you don't think of yourself as being a preacher. And Prabhupada said that directly himself. One disciple said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, when I preach, and Prabhupada cut him off immediately. What do you mean when you preach? I'm preaching. And you're helping me. So that's always the mood of a disciple. I'm assisting my spiritual master in spreading the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Now I had planned to show you some pictures, but we're way over time. So maybe next time. If there's maybe any question or comment before we go on. And I think the plan is right after breakfast, everybody who's going to Laguna will leave. So just maybe one, if you have any question, comment. Wait a second. I think I saw Jagat Chracha's hand go up. Did you? Okay. Sachitanoy.
You were writing about those people who know so many Shastras. I probably heard many times that tape where Prabhupada in Bombay, in those walks, there was Mr. Kapoor, I think. And every time Prabhupada would say something, he knew the Shastra. Sometimes you can say even more than Prabhupada. Because he will go like boom, 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 boom.
His name is Patel.
And then he will speak Prabhupada, and he would just couldn't even wait. He just go boom, 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 Shastra after Shastra. But if you keep listening, later on, sometimes he will bring his impersonalist tendencies. And also, at one point, he actually mentioned too that, Prabhupada, why are you always getting down or heavy, in these personalities? Mm-hmm. He says, I've been trained up since I was a child to have respect for this. Prabhupada said, And I've been trained up to expose these people. But yeah, so many people know sometimes many Shastra, but there's not any proof that necessarily to, like they're really advanced.
Yeah, those who are intelligent will take to Lord Chaitanya's movement, which means following the regulative principles, chanting Hare Krishna. That's the entry. As we know from this pastime, Chagai Madai. Yes, the Lord is extremely merciful. He will deliver even the most sinful like these guys. But the price they had to pay, they had to promise not to commit sins anymore. So anybody who's intelligent, so-called intelligent, they know the Shastra, but they're breaking any of those principles or not chanting Hare Krishna, then their intelligence has been stolen by illusion. Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.